The sheets were softer than anything Alex had ever slept on, yet she stirred with a wince, her body aching from the inside out. The scent of clean linen mixed with something subtle and familiar. Cologne, maybe lavender, and a deeper, darker hint of smoke. Her eyes fluttered open to a warm, golden light, seeping through floor-to-ceiling curtains. The ceiling above her was carved with ornate patterns, gilded in places. This wasn't a hospital. A soft exhale beside her pulled her gaze to the chair at her bedside. Daniel. The mafia queen wasn't in one of her sharp suits this time. Her posture was less rigid, her expression raw in a way Alex had never seen before. Daniel's usually sleek hair was tousled, and shadows hung beneath her eyes. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Alex blinked, swallowing against the dryness in her throat. "You're still here." Daniel sat up straighter at the sound of her voice. "You're awake." Her tone was low, reverent, as if she'd been holding her breath for days, and only now dared to breathe. Alex's instincts pulled her inward, defensive, but her limbs didn't comply. Everything ached. Still, she tried to push herself up. "Don't," Danielle said gently, reaching out, but stopping herself just before touching. "You had surgery. 2 broken ribs, a deep laceration on your hip. You lost a lot of blood." "And yet," Alex rasped, a faint edge to her voice, "here I am, alive in some mansion I didn't ask to be in." Danielle's mouth twitched, pained but unsurprised. "I had to bring you here. The hospital wasn't safe anymore. You were targeted because of me." Alex turned her head away, staring at the ornate wallpaper. "So your solution was to take me somewhere I couldn't leave. I saved your life. You put it in danger." The silence that followed was heavy, tangled with unspoken things. Danielle looked down at her hands. "I know. I know what this looks like." I crossed a line again. "But I swear to you, Alex, I didn't do this to control you. I couldn't lose you. Not after—" Her voice faltered, and she drew a shaky breath. "Not after seeing you bleed in my arms." Alex didn't reply. Her chest hurt, not just from the ribs. Emotion swelled beneath the painkillers. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to wrap her arms around Danielle and ask why it had to be her. Why it had to be this dangerous, impossible woman she couldn't stop thinking about. Instead, she said, "You should have left me alone after that night in the ER." Danielle stood and crossed the room slowly. She picked up a silver tray from the nearby table and carried it back, placing it carefully on the bed. Soup, bread, water, warm, comforting things. "I almost did," she said quietly. "But then I remembered how your hands felt on me. How you didn't flinch when you saw who I was. And how, for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a weapon." Alex looked at her then. Really looked. Danielle's walls were down. Her armor, her empire. None of it meant anything in this moment. She was just a woman, tired, scared, and desperate to be seen. "I almost lost you," Danielle whispered, brushing a strand of hair from Alex's forehead with a tenderness that made her chest tighten. "I can't let that happen again." Alex didn't answer. She didn't have the words. But as Danielle sat back down, silent and still beside her, Alex didn't turn away. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in days, she let herself rest. Sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains, painting soft patterns across the white linens. Alex sat up against the headboard, wrapped in a robe someone, probably Danielle, had left at the foot of the bed. The ache in her side was manageable. Now, just a sharp pull when she moved too quickly. Still, she needed to see it, to confront it. "Can I have a mirror?" she asked, breaking the quiet. Danielle, sitting at a nearby table thumbing through a folder of papers, looked up immediately. "Why?" "I want to see the damage," Alex said. "The wound." Danielle stood, her hesitation obvious in every step. "It's still healing. The stitches are tight, but the bruising hasn't faded. Maybe don't look yet. Please." Alex's tone was firmer now, edged with something close to defiance. "I need to see what's been done to me." After a long beat, Danielle gave a small nod and retrieved a hand mirror from the vanity. She passed it to Alex silently, then stood by the window, hands clenched behind her back as Alex lifted the hem of her robe and slowly examined her side. The angry red line arced beneath her ribcage, surrounded by the mottled bloom of purple and yellow bruises. For a moment, she just stared, then she lowered the mirror. "It doesn't scare me," she said. Danielle turned. Her eyes were shadowed. "It should." "No," Alex said, setting the mirror aside. "What scares me is not knowing why I'm here, why you brought me into this world, why someone like you—" She paused, searching Danielle's unreadable face. "Chose this life." Danielle remained silent for a moment, as if weighing how much truth she was willing to let loose. "I didn't choose it," she said finally. "It chose me." Alex waited. "My father was a butcher, not the kind with knives and carcasses, the kind who cut people up for money." Danielle's voice was low and even. "He was powerful, cruel. My mother tried to run with me once. He found us. I was 8. I watched him put a bullet in her head and tell me it was my fault." Alex's breath caught. Danielle looked away toward the window again. "I learned early that weakness is dangerous, that mercy gets you killed. I clawed my way to the top of his empire so no one could ever hurt me again." There was a pause, a thick silence that begged for something to fill it. Alex reached across the bed, her fingers finding Danielle's hand. A long scar ran down the side of her palm. Without thinking, Alex traced it lightly. "You're not what I expected," she murmured, her voice soft. "You're more." Danielle looked down at their hands, her expression unraveling for just a moment. "I don't want to be more," she whispered. "Not if it means putting you through this." Alex didn't let go. "You already are, whether you like it or not." And for the first time, Danielle didn't argue. The calm didn't last. Alex had been resting in the sunroom, curled up on a chaise with a book she wasn't really reading. The warmth on her skin was pleasant, and for a fleeting moment, she'd let herself believe she could breathe here. If only temporarily. Then she heard it, the slam of a door, the sharp, barked voices, the unmistakable edge of violence vibrating through the walls. She set the book down and followed the noise to a hallway she hadn't been in before. It led to a closed set of double doors, slightly ajar. She paused. Inside, Danielle's voice tore through the space like thunder. "You were supposed to end him. I gave you one order. One. You failed. And now she's in danger again." Her voice cracked under the weight of fury. "Do you have any idea what that means?" "We tracked him to the docks, but he slipped through. We're still working on it." "Still working on it?" Danielle cut in with a bitter laugh. "If you'd done your damn jobs, I wouldn't be waking up every night expecting to find her gone." Another voice spoke, softer, nervous. "Boss, we didn't anticipate he'd go after her personally again. We thought—" "You thought?" Danielle stepped forward, and someone flinched audibly. "You don't get paid to think. You get paid to eliminate threats. If you can't handle that, I'll find someone who can." The room fell into suffocating silence. Alex's heart pounded in her chest. She didn't recognize this version of Danielle, the one who wielded power like a blade, slicing through loyalty without a second thought. It was one thing to know she was dangerous. It was another to see it, hear it. She stepped back from the door quietly, but not quietly enough. Danielle's voice softened, but it still carried. "You can go. All of you. Now." Footsteps scattered like leaves in a storm. The doors swung open fully, and Danielle emerged, stopping short when she saw Alex standing there. Alex. Her expression shifted, some of the fire cooling to ash. "How long has he been watching me?" Alex asked, her voice low. "Alex, please." "How long?" Danielle didn't answer. That was an answer in itself. Alex's throat tightened. "You were going to tell me when? After he killed me?" "I was trying to keep you safe," Danielle said, stepping closer. "By hiding things from me? By threatening the people who work for you like you're some kind of tyrant?" She shook her head, voice trembling. "I saw your face in there. You weren't angry. You were terrifying." "I am terrifying," Danielle said quietly. "That's how I survive." "But I'm not trying to survive you." Alex's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "You can't protect me by becoming the thing I fear." That stopped Danielle cold. Her mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something, but there were no words. None that could fix this moment. Alex took a shaky breath. "I want to feel safe with you, but if this," she gestured around them, "is who you really are, then maybe I never will." And then she turned and walked away, leaving Danielle alone in the hall, staring at the door she'd always kept open, and never felt so powerless to close. The night had settled over the estate in a hush of silver and blue. Crickets hummed softly in the distance, and the city lights flickered far on the horizon like distant stars. Alex stood barefoot on the stone balcony, wrapped in a thin shawl, arms resting on the cold railing. The bruises on her side ached in the cool air, but the ache in her chest was louder. She didn't flinch when she heard the door open behind her. Danielle's footsteps were quiet, unhurried. She stopped just a pace behind Alex, her presence a warmth that reached without touching. "You always watch the stars when you're hurting," Danielle said softly. Alex exhaled through her nose, not turning. "Because they're constant, far away, safe." Danielle moved closer, close enough now that their arms almost touched. "You haven't spoken to me since this afternoon." I didn't know what to say. Alex paused. "I still don't." There was a beat of silence. Then Danielle said, "I wasn't always like that, you know. Cruel, cold. I had to become someone dangerous to survive. And then I just forgot how to be anything else." Alex turned to her, meeting her eyes in the dark. "You didn't forget. You just buried it so deep. You thought no one would ever bother digging." Danielle's lips curled into a sad smile. "Until you." Alex held her gaze, steady despite the storm inside her. "You scare me, Denial. What you do, what you're capable of. It terrifies me." "I know," Danielle said quietly, "but I'm more scared of losing you." The words came out before Alex could stop them, but she didn't regret them. Not when Danielle looked like someone had just placed a fragile, precious thing in her hands. "I don't know how to love gently," Danielle whispered, "but I want to. With you, I want to try." Alex reached up and touched Danielle's cheek, carefully, slowly, like she was giving permission with her fingers before her lips ever moved. "Then try," she said, and Danielle did. Their kiss was no longer cautious or tentative. It wasn't a question. It was an answer, a promise. Alex melted into it, her fingers tangling in Danielle's shirt, holding her close. Danielle's arms wrapped around her waist, cradling her like something sacred. There was no fire between them this time, only warmth. The kind that seeps into your bones and makes you feel safe, even when the world is burning. When they finally pulled apart, breathless and quiet, Daniel rested her forehead against Alex's. "I'll never hurt you," she murmured. "Not if I can help it." "I believe you," Alex whispered, and for the first time since the bullet, the blood, the fear, she meant it. It started with silence, not the peaceful kind that blanketed the estate at night, but a stillness that felt wrong. The usual rustle of the guards, the faint buzz of radios, gone. Alex had just stepped out of the library, intending to find Danielle, when the eerie quiet crept into her awareness. She paused, clutching the shawl tighter around her shoulders. Then the scream of splintering wood shattered the calm. 3 men stormed down the hallway toward her, masked and fast. Alex barely had time to react. She turned and ran, barefoot and panicked, her heart punching against her ribs. She darted through a side hall, trying to remember the layout of the mansion, anything that could get her to safety. Her hip throbbed, her ribs protested, but she didn't stop. They caught up fast. Hands grabbed her from behind, dragging her to the floor. She kicked, elbowed, bit, feral with fear. One of the men cursed and raised a hand to strike her. The gunshot rang out before the blow landed. One assailant dropped instantly, blood blooming across his chest. The others turned, but it was already too late. Danielle came in like fire. She didn't hesitate. Her blade flashed once, twice, clean, practiced movements. The second man fell with a gurgle. The last managed to fire a shot. It hit. Danielle jerked back, clutching her shoulder, but stayed standing. Rage hardened her features as she raised her pistol and put a bullet clean through the last man's head. Then silence again. Alex scrambled to Danielle, catching her just as she swayed. "You're hit," she breathed, her hands already pressing to the wound. Blood oozed through her fingers, hot and thick. "You're bleeding too much. God, Danielle, stay with me." Danielle tried to speak, but only managed a grunt of pain. Alex looked around desperately. "Help!" she screamed. "Somebody help!" But no one came. Tears blurred her vision. No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to save me and then die." She tore off her shawl, pressed it hard against Danielle's shoulder. Her hands shook. Her chest heaved. "Don't you dare die on me," she sobbed, voice breaking. "I'm not done yelling at you. I'm not done kissing you. You hear me?" Danielle's bloody hand lifted weakly to touch Alex's face. Her lips moved. "I hear you," she whispered, and then her eyes closed. Alex screamed her name, again and again, until finally footsteps pounded toward them. Reinforcements. Too late. Medics rushed in, taking Danielle from her arms. As they worked to stabilize her, Alex sat numbly in the hallway, blood on her hands, and heartbreak clinging to her like a second skin. She didn't know who had betrayed them, but someone had, and Alex knew now, without a shadow of doubt, that she would burn the world to protect the woman who had almost died protecting her. Danielle lay unconscious on the blood-soaked bed, her skin pale, lips parted as her breath came in shallow, broken rhythms. Alex knelt beside her, hands trembling as she threaded the needle. The medics had stopped the bleeding, removed the bullet, but there hadn't been time to close her up. Not properly. They had said they'd return, but Alex couldn't wait. She had to do something. Anything. Her fingers shook as she pierced the skin, pulling the thread through the ragged edges of the wound. Danielle groaned softly in her haze, her face twitching with pain. "I'm sorry," Alex whispered, tears streaking down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry." The wound was deep, just above the collarbone, angled in a way that made stitching difficult. But she didn't stop. She gritted her teeth, kept going, even as her vision blurred. Finally, the last knot was tied. Alex sank back, breathless, her hands stained red. The room spun. Her heart wouldn't stop racing. She sat in silence, watching the slow rise and fall of Daniel's chest. Still breathing. Alive. After what felt like an eternity, Daniel stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then slowly landing on Alex. "You're here," she rasped, voice broken and dry. Alex swallowed hard. "Where else would I be?" Daniel tried to smile. It didn't quite reach her eyes. "I thought maybe this was it." Alex took her hand, lacing, their fingers together tightly. "You're not allowed to die," she said fiercely. "Not after everything. Not after you bled for me." Daniel blinked slowly. "You stitched me up. I couldn't just sit there. I had to do something." Silence stretched between them, thick, heavy with all the things neither had said. Then, Danielle murmured, "You're not just my heart, Alex. You're my redemption." Alex's breath caught. Danielle turned her face slightly, a single tear slipping from her eye. "I've killed for power, for revenge, for control. But that night, I killed for you. It was the first time I didn't feel like a monster afterward. I felt like..." She struggled for breath. "Like a person." Alex leaned forward, her forehead resting gently against Daniel's. "I'm scared of what you've done. I don't know if I'll ever fully understand it, but I can't pretend anymore. I feel something for you, and it's not going away." Danielle closed her eyes, her breath warm against Alex's skin. "Then stay. Please." Alex hesitated. "I will," she whispered, "but not blindly." Daniel's brows knit weakly. "If we do this," Alex continued, pulling back just enough to meet her gaze, "we do it honestly. I won't lie for you. I won't become someone I'm not. I won't lose myself to your world." A beat passed. Then Danielle gave the smallest nod, her voice barely audible. "Then I'll make space for both of us. Your world and mine." Alex smiled softly, brushing the hair from Danielle's damp forehead. "Good. Because I want you. Not the guns. Not the blood. Just you." For the first time since the attack, Danielle let out a breath that didn't sound like pain. It sounded like relief. And Alex didn't let go of her hand for the rest of the night. The first rays of dawn slipped through the sheer curtains, casting the bedroom in a quiet gold. The warmth touched the edge of the bed first, then climbed over the tangled sheets, finally landing on Alex's cheek. She blinked awake slowly, stretching her legs beneath the covers, her body sore but wrapped in a strange, unexpected peace. Danielle was still asleep beside her. Her dark lashes rested against skin that was pale but no longer ghostly. Her breathing was steady now, shallower than usual, but real, present, alive. Alex turned onto her side, careful not to disturb her, and just looked. For once, Danielle wasn't the mafia queen with blood-stained hands. She was just a woman, wounded, vulnerable and beautiful in a way that made Alex's chest ache. Eventually, Danielle stirred. Their eyes met, hazy with sleep, and something far more fragile. "Morning," Danielle rasped. "Barely." Alex smiled, brushing a strand of hair off Danielle's forehead. "But yeah, it's a morning." They didn't talk about the pain or the scars. They didn't need to. Instead, Danielle sat up with a wince, letting Alex fuss over her, pulling pillows behind her back and helping her sip from a glass of water. It was clumsy, slow, but soft. Intimate. Afterward, they sat side by side on the balcony, wrapped in blankets and sipping bitter coffee from mismatched mugs. The wind teased their hair. Somewhere in the estate, someone was cooking. The smell of eggs and garlic drifted through the air. Alex laughed when Danielle made a face at the flavor of her coffee. "You make millions and still buy the cheapest grounds," she teased. Danielle shrugged with a faint smirk. "Keeps me grounded." They talked about nothing and everything. About Danielle's ridiculous taste in old movies. About the stray cat that had made a nest in one of the guest rooms. About how Alex once accidentally shaved off her eyebrows in college. And for a moment, it felt like they were normal. Two women, bruised by the world but trying to find something good in each other. Something soft. Something real. Later, as they stood inside again, Alex folding laundry she didn't remember agreeing to do, Danielle disappeared into her office for a minute. When she returned, she was holding something small. A key. She placed it gently in Alex's hand. Alex stared at it, confused. "What is this?" "It's yours," Danielle said. "To the estate. To all of it." Alex looked up sharply. Danielle met her gaze without flinching. "This isn't a prison, Alex. It never was. This is me, giving you the choice." Alex's throat tightened. The weight of the small metal object suddenly felt immense in her palm. "You're not locked in," Danielle continued softly. "You're choosing to be here, and if you ever want to leave, I won't stop you." Alex stared at her for a long moment, then curled her fingers around the key. Slowly, purposefully, she slipped it into her pocket. Danielle's voice, when it came next, was low and full of something raw. "You are the one thing I never meant to chase. But now I'll never let you go." Alex stepped closer, cupped Danielle's, face in both hands. Their foreheads met, warm and steady. "Just promise me," she whispered. "You'll never make me choose between you and myself." Danielle's eyes closed as she leaned into the touch. "I promise." And as the sun rose, higher, bleeding light into their broken corners, they stood there, not whole, not healed, but choosing each other anyway. Together,